I'm tired of pretending that everything is okay when deep down I know it's not. The weight of this relationship feels like a burden I can no longer carry, and I can't keep sacrificing my happiness for something that no longer brings me peace. It's heartbreaking to realize that the person I once shared my dreams with has become a stranger. The love that once bloomed between us is now a memory fading away, and I have to face the fact that we've grown in different directions. I never imagined that one day I would reach a point where I would look at you and feel nothing but emptiness. It's as if the love we shared has slowly eroded, and I find myself longing for a life of peace, free from the weight of our past. The hardest part of all of this is accepting that no matter how hard we try, sometimes love just isn't enough. The connection that once felt so strong has weakened, and I can't keep holding onto something that's already slipping through my fingers. I don't want to keep fighting for something that doesn't make me feel whole. I can no longer deny the fact that we're not the same people we were when we first met. I need to walk away for the sake of my own emotional well-being. I've spent so much time trying to make it work, trying to fix something that was broken long before I realized it. Now, it feels like I'm standing at a crossroads, needing to let go so that I can heal and move forward. There comes a point where the emotional toll becomes too much to ignore. I can't keep putting myself through this heartache. I deserve peace, and it's time to let go and walk away, even though it's the hardest thing I've ever done. When we first came together, I thought we would always be inseparable. But now I realize that sometimes love isn't enough to hold two people together. The silence between us speaks louder than any words ever could, and I can't pretend anymore. I have tried every possible way to make this work, but the truth is, we've drifted so far apart that we no longer recognize the people we used to be. It's time to acknowledge the painful reality that we are no longer the right fit for each other. In the quiet moments, I find myself questioning how we got here. The person I once loved feels like a distant memory, and I no longer recognize the person I have become in this relationship. I need to let go to find myself again. There's no easy way to say this, but sometimes love alone isn't enough to keep a relationship intact. I've tried to make it work, but I can no longer ignore the fact that we're both stuck in a cycle that's draining us both. I can no longer stay in a relationship that's built on silence and avoidance. The connection we once had is no longer there, and I can't keep pretending that it is. It's time to face the truth and move on. Love should bring out the best in us, not the worst. But the longer we stay, the more I feel like I'm losing myself in the process. It's hard to admit, but I can't keep sacrificing my own happiness for something that isn't working. I've tried so hard to make it work, but sometimes love isn't enough to fix the cracks that have formed over time. It's time to acknowledge that we've both changed and that it's okay to let go and move forward on separate paths. It hurts to admit, but I've reached a point where I can no longer see a future with you. We've both invested so much time and energy into something that's no longer serving either of us, and it's time to let go. In the beginning, I believed we were meant to be, but over time, things have changed, and I find myself questioning whether we're still right for each other. The emotional exhaustion has taken its toll, and I think it's time to end this chapter. I don't want to keep going through the motions, pretending that things are fine when they're not. The love that once felt so effortless has become a distant memory, and it's time to face the reality that we need to part ways. It's painful to realize that no matter how much love we share, sometimes we simply grow apart. I can no longer ignore the fact that we're living in a relationship that no longer brings us joy, and it's time to walk away. The hardest part of letting go is knowing that we gave it everything we had, but it still wasn't enough. I need to find a way to heal and move forward, and that means saying goodbye to what once was. I feel like I'm constantly fighting for something that doesn't seem to exist anymore. We've both changed in ways I never expected, and the love that once brought us together now feels like a distant memory. The silence between us speaks louder than any argument we've had. I've tried to fix things, but I've come to realize that some relationships aren't meant to last forever. It's time for me to let go and find peace again. I've been holding on to something that no longer exists, and it's time to face the truth.